Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanchari Jamuna Tira Vanchari Jai Radha Madhava Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Jamuna Tira Jai Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Rani Hari Radha Rani Hari Radha Jaya Sita Ram Lakshmana Sita Ram Lakshmana Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaura Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo Divine Grace of Vaishnava Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parijagacharya Stotra Siddhis Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Nitai Gaur Premanande all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So, my gratitude to Narottam Prabhu for engaging me in some reciting of Srimad Bhagavatam. कृष्णे स्वधाम उपगते धर्म ज्ञानादिभिः सह कलौ नष्टदृशामेष पुराणार्को दुनोदितः. So when Krishna left, he came back again as Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, by reciting, by chanting, तदा रजस्तमो भाव कामलोभादयश्चे चेतायते रणाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति. Mode of goodness, something that we are aspiring for. If not, then we should try to aspire for. This is established when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, because all the rajas and tamas in the heart get purified by this process of hearing. Shushrusho Shradha Vasudeva Katha Ruchi. So, by developing taste, by serving the Vaishnavas, one develops taste for Srimad Bhagavatam. By developing a taste for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, then all this negativity which is there in the heart, the rajas and tamas, the passion and ignorance, that gets dissolved. This is the pursuit that we want to engage in our journey, in our progressive march in spiritual life towards Golok Vrindavan. This is how Srila Prabhupada puts it. So we want to establish mode of goodness, and that is facilitated by the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's very nice to have this class which is going on since a long time, and now we've reached Canto 3. And here we find that this particular chapter is discussing about the Lord's pastimes out of Vrindavan. So they say that Krishna doesn't even put a step or a foot outside Sri Vrindavan Dham. You've heard that before? He doesn't move outside Vrindavan Dham. So that is Brajendra Nandan Sham Sundar. That is the Krishna who's residing in the spiritual world. He doesn't move out. But then he has so many incarnations, right? So many incarnations. Nana Avatara Makarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu. So Krishna has unlimited incarnations. So Vasudev Krishna, he, the source of all the other incarnations, he moves out and he's conducting and he's carrying out all these different pastimes. So then in this particular chapter, we will see that how it's a summary of Krishna's pastimes after he left Vrindavan. That's what this chapter is all about. So what happens, you see, Srimad Bhagavatam is it's a question answer session. Prabhupada sometimes he explains that the whole world is asking questions and giving answers. Right? Everything is about that. We want to ask questions and we want to give answers. And in today's digital world, you'll have a lot of people asking questions and giving the answers themselves, especially on social media. You find that there are so many nowadays so-called influencers that have come up who want to give Vishesh Tippani about everything. And unfortunately, there is a vacuum of those who give this Vishesh Tippani from the Bhagavatam perspective. But we can fill that role. maybe not on social media, but at least on our in our own lives, because that is a vacuum that we have to fulfill. What happens is that we get so much brainwashed by social media, and there is so much of, the shorts are there, and you have to kind of block yourself uh, to avoid being swayed. That's the whole world, that's the direction in which it is moving. But then in this we forget the real direction where we are actually supposed to go. So actually I congratulate you all that you have take out some time and come on Saturdays, and even during the day, even during the week, when you take out some time to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and to discuss Krishna Katha, and also how to engage practically in devotional life, because this has become a rarity in today's day, redundant actually, especially in days of this, when everybody is only discussing about when Pakistan will attack next, and what happened when how they broke the ceasefire. These guys cannot be trusted. All this is the only discussion that is going on, and then how India and what India will do next, and then all the details about Kashmir, etc. When this is going on, I read one message from the GBC for Pakistan, and he wrote that we have devotees on both sides. So that immediately it struck my mind, because the whole narratives that were going on in the country, finish off Pakistan, finish off this, that. Then he wrote there are devotees on both sides. So then I realized, so what are we actually? What is our consciousness? Bhagavad Gita, what do we understand? Antakale cha mameva swaran muktva kale. What you remember at the time of death, that you will attain without fail. Imagine a whole consciousness is all about finishing off Pakistan, and you meet an accident. And then, God forbid, something happens. Then what happens next? Next life, then you'll be born in Balochistan. So this is how life is, Uh, our consciousness, it is so crucial, what we are thinking. So sometimes, see, the whole brainwashing is going on one side, but we need to pull it back and enter into this timeless classic. Prabhupada said, there was warlike situation going on before also. So that time, Prabhupada, he said that, what if a bomb drops? Somebody asked Prabhupada. So he said, what? We'll chant Hare Krishna and die. What else? He made it very casual about it. He said, we'll chant Hare Krishna. Even if we have to die, what is the issue? So the question is whether we are remembering Krishna or not, and whether we are ready or not. If not, that means there's a long way ahead. A lot of work is to be done. So these discussions, they facilitate our remembrance of Krishna. And our practical engagement in devotional service, it also helps us to remember Krishna directly, indirectly. That should be our goal and focus. Daily we should ask, actually what happens, uh, see, all of these classes, all of these books are meant to make us question ourselves, first of all. Jivasya tattva jigyasa nartho yaschaya karmapi. Animals don't question, they rely on instinct. And then there are many animals in the form of human beings, dvipad pashu, the Shastra says. So they live also based on instinct. So whatever they feel, they do. Just do it, they say, right? Nike. But we're supposed to ask these questions. So this is meant to make us conscious. First be conscious, then later be Krishna conscious. So first our goal is to become conscious. How do you become conscious? When we start asking ourselves these questions. So in the last few days, I was asking these questions to myself, where is my consciousness? And then I realized, half of it is in Balochistan. So why? Because we're not hearing enough. We're not chanting enough. Our mind is not there into these aspects. There's no absorption. Because I've seen devotees who are actually very absorbed. Then for them, they see material things also from a spiritual perspective, and then above that, they're absorbed in Krishna Katha. They're absorbed. So that's our goal. That's our goal. So let us see how Srimad Bhagavatam facilitates this. So this is third canto. This is about Lord Krishna's pastimes. So I'll read some translation. I made a short presentation also with some images to help us become a little more visual about it. Sri Uddhava said, thereafter Lord Krishna went to Mathura city with Sri Baladev. To please their parents, they dragged Kamsa, the leader of public enemies, down from his throne and killed him, pulling him along the ground with great strength. So Krishna, he leaves Vrindavan, and then we all know he kills Kamsa. And actually, Vasudeva and Devaki, they think that Krishna is their only child, and they think that he will get injured, and they feel that Kamsa will kill him also. They feel like this because of Yogmaya's covering. And therefore, then Krishna and Balram, they drag Kamsa on the streets. They drag so that the news spreads and everybody sees. And then the news comes to Vasudeva and Devaki also. And they hear that, they become pacified. Yes, Krishna killing Kamsa. Kamsa was Kalanemi, demon in the previous life. Krishna comes to annihilate. And here he is. See, everybody sees that Krishna has killed Kamsa. Then ahead, the Lord learned all the Vedas with their different branches simply by hearing them once from his teacher Sandipani Muni, whom he rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamaloka. 64 days, 64 arts. Krishna learned. Fast forward Gurukul. In our Gurukul, I had the service for a couple of years, and we were, we have this formula of don't push the children too far, too much. In the sense that you see how most of us, we come from the regular education, failed education system that we all come from, wherein so much pressure, my God, so much pressure. And what do you say, gada goda ek kar dete hain, right? That everybody is in the same race. So then from that perspective, this system of Gurukula is the principle it is founded on is very natural, wherein based on his own propensity, let him develop. So if somebody doesn't pass third grade, he doesn't need to go in fourth grade. So it's okay, let him remain in English in third grade for the next 2 years. What's the issue? We had some boys who, when they became 13, 14, then they finished off 4 grades in 1 year, 4, 5 grades. Suddenly some maturity came in. They didn't have to be pushed, and then they completed like that. So that was a nice revelation, because the more important thing being that the child develops maturity on his own. He develops initiative rather than being pushed all the time. So the point is that in contrast to this, Krishna is so fast forward a learner. Krishna and Balram, one day it took them to master one art. So 64 arts they learned. All these, not singing, dancing, any kind of creation of say dresses or pots, or all these are different kinds of arts. So 64 arts. So he learned. Now he learned from Sandipani Muni, Gurukul, in Ujjain. Krishna also went through this system to set an example. And then after that, he asks Guru Dakshina. So Sandipani Muni knows what is the position of Krishna. He can do the impossible. So then he says, my son is in Yamloka. Yamaraj has taken him. So go and fetch. So then Krishna goes and he retrieves Sandipani Muni's son back. And this way he pleases him. Because Yasya Prasadat Bhagavad Prasado. Yasya Prasadat Nagati Kutopi. So pleasing the spiritual master is very essential. So what Krishna does is he sets an example. He pleases Sandipani Muni. Srila Prabhupada, he mentions in this purport, he says that Krishna is not an ungrateful person, that if any service rendered to him will go unrewarded. He says that Sandipani Muni, he did some service to Krishna by becoming his teacher. So then what did Krishna give him? He rewarded him also. So what to speak of those devotees who are very, with a lot of motivation and a lot of surrender and love, who are serving Krishna, especially by chanting his names every day. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. There are some statements in Srila Prabhupada's purports which are very faith-giving. And as a personal recommendation, in my personal study of Bhagavatam, what I did is kept some of these statements as a separate file in my system. Whenever you feel depressed, whenever you feel upset, whenever you think that it's not moving ahead, so then you can go and read, and then you feel if Prabhupada is saying it must be true. So Prabhupada writes here, this is one of them. He says the devotees of the Lord who always engage in his loving service are never to be disappointed in the progressive march of devotional service. So Never to be there's no disappointment in spiritual life. So then, then sometimes we retrospect, we introspect, we think, if there is no disappointment, then what do I feel 90% of the time? I'm always disappointed. This is not there, that is not there. How is it that I am disappointed? Oh, because I'm not doing loving service yet. Because there's still so much of motivation. But despite everything, Krishna is not ungrateful. Still, I'm trying to render service. So it's going to come. So then that's where the principle of utsaha, nishchaya, dhairyat comes. Dhairya means patience. So just wait. Krishna has a plan. Our thing is what? We sit in the bus and we are pushing the front seat and think bus is moving because of me. Sometimes bus goes reverse. We push ahead. We still think bus is now. Then we become confused. Say I am pushing here, bus is going behind. So this is how life is. Karma. This is how it is. It's just different phases which we go through, and most of them don't work for us. Period. Mostly it's like that. The little phases which come, wherein we get some free will to do what we want. So better is the best way is to accept whatever we get, and remaining time be engaged in doing sadhana bhakti. Nobody can stop this. Once I asked a question to His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj, Maharaj, if our karma is very bad, situation is very bad, then how will we be able to do bhakti? He said, you can still be in jail and chant Hare Krishna. You can be in jail also and you can chant, you can still make progress. So it made sense. No matter how bad your karma is, nobody can stop us from making devotional life, progress in devotional life. So this is a very faith-giving statement that somewhere it is going. Because in material life, if things don't work out the way we want them to, or our plans fail, then we feel, what has happened? Oh my God, now what? We feel like this. We think we become despondent, disappointed, like Prabhupada said. They were disappointed. But in devotional life, no need for all of this, because it's just progress. So somehow or other, if you have a check mark on a daily, daily people have bucket lists, like that. You have a daily bucket list wherein you have your 16 rounds, you have certain devotional practices that you do, some services that you do, and then regularly, if we think also, reflect back. Reflection is in the mode of goodness, an activity that devotees should do every day, maybe once a week or monthly. Where am I going towards? What is going on? So the more we reflect, then Krishna gives intelligence from within. So these are some activities which help us to move ahead. So coming back here, so Prabhupada writes like this. So nice. He says that devotees who always engage in his loving service, they are never to be disappointed. So no disappointment. Attracted by the beauty and fortune of Rukmini, the daughter of King Bhishmaka, many great princes and kings assembled to marry her. But Lord Krishna, stepping over the other hopeful candidates, carried her away as his own share, as Garuda carried away nectar. So Rukmini. So ahead, this is like an overview of the 10th canto. 10th canto, post Krishna Lila, this chapter is an overview. Everything about Krishna's life is there, fast forward, overview. There are devotees who have written overviews about the Bhagavatam. Original overview was given by Shukdev Goswami himself. This is this chapter, the overview. So Rukmini, this pastime is also very special. Many times people say Krishna is he married a lusty person. He married so many queens, so many girls, 16,108. But you see, Rukmini Devi, if you actually go through Bhagavatam, you realize Krishna, see, his one quality is Atmaram. That means he's fully self-satisfied. He doesn't need anyone. So then how come he married? Because they all requested him to do. So Rukmini Devi, when she heard from the Brahmana who came to Vidarbha, who glorified Krishna in amazing ways and his qualities, her heart fully, of course, she is the eternal goddess of fortune. She is naturally going to get attracted by Krishna. So then she decided that I'm going to get married to him only and no one else. Whereas her brother Rukmi wanted her to get married to Shishupal. So Rukmini Devi, so then she requests, she writes, that was the first love letter. Letter writing is an amazing activity, also that devotees can do. Actually, somebody suggested to me in my early years that you write your prayers. And one time I had written, that time in Mayapur, they used to show the, you remember, bro? I don't know if they used to show the letters to Narsingadev like this. I don't know, now we stopped doing it, but we written this letter, 20 pages. All desires, everything, sab dal diya. But it's amazing. Devotional life is like that. That now in retrospect, I still remember that because it was written. See how much writing helps. Also, you understand where you are at when you write. Otherwise, the mind is there's so much going on all the time, right? There's always tornadoes and cyclones going on inside. No? So then now in retrospect, I remember that was 15 years ago, 16 years ago, something like that. But 80% of those things got fulfilled, and others are in waiting. So then I realized, all right, it's going. One is that by writing, you get an idea where you are at and where you want to go, and what Krishna does and how he reciprocates. So it's a faith giving exercise. You get a lot of faith that, oh, it's working. This is my prayer, and then you can analyze. This is what happened. Krishna did this. He didn't do this like this. So for our own growth and realization, writing is a fantastic activity that we can take up. Writing down prayers or something like that helps to focus the mind also. So Rukmini Devi, she wrote the first letter, and there it's very beautiful letter, which again in Bhagavatam 10th canto it is elaborated, and wherein she completely surrenders to Krishna, and she also says, if you don't come, then there is no point in living. So then Krishna comes. When such a clarion call is there, then Krishna rushes. Like Gajendra also. Gajendra, he cried out for Krishna, and then the Lord came. It is Acharyas mentioned Lord was so much in a rush. Generally, he goes on Garuda, but in this case, he was the one bringing Garuda behind. It's like that. He's going ahead taking Garuda like that. So so this way he picks up Rukmini Devi, and that's his first queen. Then ahead, by subduing 7 bulls, whose noses were not pierced, the Lord achieved the hand of Princess Nagnajiti in the open competition to select her bridegroom. Although the Lord was victorious, his competitors asked the hand of the princess, and thus there was a fight. Well equipped with weapons, the Lord killed or wounded all of them, but he was not hurt himself. So this is for Princess Nagnajiti. This is how Krishna, he also shows how great he is by performing extraordinary feats. We can't really compare Krishna with ourselves, because who can simultaneously expand himself into 7 forms and then subdue 7 bulls at the same time like this to win the hand of Princess Nagnajiti. Just to please his dear wife, the Lord brought back the parijat tree from heaven, just as an ordinary husband would do. But Indra, the king of heaven, induced by his wives, henpecked as he was, ran after the Lord with full force to fight him. So who wanted the parijat tree? Satyabhama wanted the parijat tree. And so Krishna, he goes, he tries to fulfill that desire. And that we must understand, Krishna fulfills the desire not because it's his wife, he fulfills the desire because that's his devotee who's asking. The relationships with the Lord are of a different category and a different nature. But Indra, his was material. And so he got upset. And then Krishna had to put even Indra in place. Narkasur, the son of Dhairitri, the earth, tried to grasp the whole sky, and for this he was killed by the Lord in a fight. His mother then prayed to the Lord. This led to the return of the kingdom to the son of Narkasura, and thus the Lord entered the house of the demon. So, yeah, this Narkasur also was killed by the Lord. There in the house of the demon, all the princesses kidnapped by Narkasura at once became alert upon seeing the Lord, the friend of the distressed. They looked upon him with eagerness, joy, and shyness and offered to be his wives. So Narkasura had kidnapped all these many daughters of great kings and kept them imprisoned in his palace. Then what happened now is that, you see, according to Vedic culture, the way it works is that especially when this is a Rakshas Vivaha, kidnapping. In Kshatriyas, there are different types of marriage that they have. One of them is Rakshas Vivaha. So when one is kidnapped, then after that they are not accepted. There was another incident like this in the case of uh, Amba, Ambalika, and Ambika. Amba was also, they all three were kidnapped by Bhishma Dev. And Amba already had chosen, uh, she had already chosen her own uh, to be husband. She already chose. She was in love already with Madra Naresh, Shalva. So she wanted to marry him, but then he refused to accept her because she was already kidnapped. So then, culturally at that time, then for all these princesses, it would not have been possible for them to get married because they were already kidnapped. So they were the brides of Narkasura in that way. However, then when they all approached Krishna, so this was 16,100 in number, and thus the Lord then accepts all of them, divides himself into 16,100 forms, and then gets married to each one of them simultaneously. So this was also an extraordinary feat that the Lord performed. Yeah, although all those princesses were lodged in different apartments, and the Lord simultaneously assumed different bodily expansions exactly matching each and every princess. He accepted their hands in perfect rituals by his internal potency. Then, just to expand himself according to his transcendental features, the Lord begot in each and every one of them 10 offsprings with exactly his own qualities. So you can do the math 16,108 and then 10 children through each. So that was Krishna's dynasty. Big. Kal Yavan, the king of Magad, that's Jarasanga, you can see in between, and Shalva attacked the king city of Mathura. But when the city was encircled by their soldiers, the Lord refrained from killing them personally, just to show the power of his own men. Just like Arjuna, Krishna could have killed. Barbarik was asked, "What did you see in Mahabharata?" At the end, he says that I saw Krishna Sudarshan going before Arjuna's arrows, killing everyone. So the Lord, he's the doer, but he likes to give the credit to his devotees. And thus, he allows Arjuna to take the credit for winning the battle of Kurukshetra. You all must have heard the story that when Krishna was getting out of the chariot, then he asked Arjuna to get down first. And then the chariot turns into ashes because he took all the heat. So in this way, the Lord allows his devotees to take the credit. Srila Prabhupada also said, one time one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, why Bhaktivinoda Thakur is so powerful, then why he didn't spread Krishna? Lord Chaitanya is so powerful, and the Acharyas are so powerful, why they didn't spread Krishna consciousness around the world themselves? So Prabhupada says, you do it. They're Acharyas, they're all merciful, they're all powerful also. For them, it's very easy. They can make everyone Krishna conscious very easily. But they haven't done it because they've left it for you. He says like that. They've left it for you. You do it and take the credit. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada's mood was also like that. You do it and take. Krishna likes to give credit. So let's do some work for him and then we take the credit. That's acceptable. That credit is accepted. Of kings like Shambara, Dvivida, Bana, Mura, Balvala, and many other demons such as Dantavakra, some he killed himself and some he caused to be killed by others. Then, O Vidura, the Lord caused all the kings, both the enemies and those on the side of your fighting nephews, to be killed in the battle of Kurukshetra. All those kings were so great and strong that the earth seemed to shake as they traversed the war field. Mahabharata was an arrangement that was done by the Lord to reduce the sin. The Lord, being the most expert manager as he is, whenever he sees that there is an interference in his own plan, so then he comes himself to set things right. So that's one of the ways in which he maintains decorum in this world. That's one of the reasons why he comes in this world also. Duryodhana was bereft of his fortune and duration of life because of the intricacy of ill advice given by Karna, Dushasana, and Shaubala. When he lay on the ground with his followers, his thigh is broken, although he was powerful. The Lord was not happy to see the scene. So it's interesting. Srila Prabhupada mentions Krishna was not happy when he saw Duryodhana lying down. The end of the Mahabharata, Duryodhana is lying down with his thighs broken, and then he's left to die there. And then Krishna was not happy. One may say, why? Why Krishna? He is the one who caused the Mahabharata. He's not happy because he does. For even Duryodhana is a part and parcel of him. He doesn't want the living entities to suffer in this way. So he has to do, because to establish decorum in this world, he has to do what he did, Mahabharata war, but he didn't like it. So Krishna, it's better. So Prabhupada gives advice. He says that it's better to follow Vedic rules and regulations, follow scriptural injunctions, and live a God-centered life. Vedas and Puranas. Follow God's laws. न शास्त्र विधि मुस्त्रिज वर्तते कामकारता न सा सिद्धि अवाप्नोति न सुखम न param gatim. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, those who don't follow Lord's injunctions, what happens? They don't get na sukham na param. They don't get the supreme destination. They don't get happiness also. And so you see, one of the laws of the Lord is culture, cultural aspects, how we talk, with whom we speak, what do we do. All these are culture. Krishna consciousness is all culture. Culture is practical application of philosophy. So whole day, dincharya, morning to night, whatever we do is actually an aspect of culture. Now, if we are not trained in the Krishna conscious way of life, or if we are not endeavoring to train ourselves in the Krishna conscious way of life, then we are already trained or untrained in the modern way of life, which is basically not very cultured. And you can see that how people are so frustrated and unhappy. For example, loneliness and depression are anxiety are very, very common ailments that people face in today's day. Very, very common. The rate of teenagers, children feeling lonely, feeling anxious, feeling depressed has gone up like anything. What to speak of adults in today's day? It's like that. All statistics say that. And it's not only some places, it's everywhere. This is the situation. Why is it like that? Because we've forgotten culture. Those who are fortunate enough to be brought up in joint families, or those who have witnessed culture from a close perspective, wherein the first thing that we learn is to put our ego down. And first thing we learn is, in order for relationships to exist, we have to be humble, and we have to learn how to tolerate, which is absolutely missing in today's generation. And as a result, what do they say? Love at first sight and divorce at first fight. So we find more, and this is something that happens even within a devotee circle, because culture, we may try to be Krishna conscious, because that Krishna consciousness, a lot of it just depends on our chanting and sadhana, advancement in our development of our core identity as servants of the Lord. But if we miss out this one, then we are missing out a very big experience of life itself. So, cultivation of spiritual culture. This is something that all of us can also resolve to develop different qualities. In my experience, in the last couple of years, staying in Sridham Mayapur, we had the great fortune of being with a lot of senior Vaishnavas. And one thing I tried to do was try to observe different aspects of culture, or different aspects of what qualities, different qualities. Two primary qualities for everyone to develop is sensitivity and sense control. Both are actually extreme, but they are very crucial. A balance, sensitivity and sense control. So for sense control, then we say no to certain things. But sensitivity is how we deal with ourselves and how we deal with others. So balance of these two. Likewise, there are so many different cultural aspects that we learn in our communication that we sometimes brush off, or we are not very careful about in our day-to-day dealings or in our consciousness. So Krishna consciousness means what? First of all, becoming conscious. So then we should ask ourselves these questions. Sometimes if we don't get the answers, then we should ask for feedback from others. You ask others that, where do I need to improve? You'll get a big list. We generally don't ask because our ego gets hurt. But that's why if we have some authority in our lives, whom we can trust and have faith, and then we should regularly ask. If I don't get any feedback for 6 months from my authority, I get in anxiety. Because it means that I've done such bad things that I'm going to get everything in one shot. So we should have this kind of an anxiety. We should have this kind of a mood If we have that, then oh, then I'm progressing. Otherwise, if we think that I'm all good, in what do they say? Apan to bas aise hi hai. I'm going to remain like this. Jo kar raha hai kar lo. People have to accept me. This kind of monologue goes on inside our mind. But then again, we should then ask ourselves: is that progressive? Is that pleasing to Krishna? Krishna consciousness means what? It's a very simple question we should ask ourselves. It is just, am I pleasing Krishna by this or not? Bas. Am I pleasing? Answer nahi malum hai, so then we read Shastra. You get a general idea. फिर भी answer nahi malum hai, then you ask your authorities. So 100% you'll get some answer or like that. Now what happens? Everything we can't ask. Everything we can't ask. So many details are there in the day. Pure devotional service is what? Ahetukya pratyata. It is non-interrupted. It is just continuous. All the time pleasing Krishna. Great Vaishnavas, they are continuously absorbed in pleasing Krishna. Continuously absorbed in pleasing their spiritual master. 24/7 they are thinking like that. What consciousness is that? An example of this was our spiritual master, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. And when it's just like that, when people are there, we don't value them so much, and then when they leave, then we realize. When Maharaj left, the kind of outpouring that came from devotees all over the world, talking about his glories, was so outstanding. Weeks and weeks and weeks passed by, and people are just going on glorifying in every temple, everywhere, just going on and on. It was not only a big loss for ISKCON, but it was amazing to see how a person can touch the lives of so many thousands of devotees. How can one person touch the lives of so many thousands of people? How is it? So it's because of constant contemplation. When we heard the memories of Maharaj, we heard that how he was always thinking about the devotees' welfare, and how he was interacting with devotees, and how he remembered so many details about so many devotees after so many years. Like I just last week, as I was leaving Mayapur, then I told one of my other teachers, he's a second generation devotee from Latvia. So his father was vice president in the Latvia temple. He was the previous principal in the Gurukul. I told him, Maharaj, last year when he met me last, he told me that he knows you and he remembers your father. Then the devotee told me, Maharaj came to Latvia 45 years ago and he remembers. And he couldn't believe it. He said, how does he know and how does he remember? So this is how, these are some examples of how great saintly Vaishnavas, because they are thinking, the other devotees, other Vaishnavas are always in their consciousness. They're always cultivating a service attitude. So in this way, they touch the lives of so many people. That's a glorious life. And that is actually an example of continuously performed devotional service. This is pure devotional service. It's all the time. It's only thinking about this, only thinking about how to expand Krishna consciousness. Some practical life lessons. So here we see that. So this is where what is it? Cultural cultivation of culture. That's how we can please Krishna. Krishna was not happy with Duryodhan, and he was neither happy with Duryodhan having to be killed. Then, after the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord said, "The abatement of the earth's great burden, 18 Akshauhinis has now been effected with the help of Duryodhan, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Bhima. But what is this? There is still the great strength of the Yadu dynasty, born of myself, which may be an unbearable burden." So so the Lord, he fulfilled his main purpose. But now what to do with the Yadu dynasty? Inko kaun sambhalega? Because Yadu dynasty is so powerful, each one of them being as powerful as the Lord himself. Inko kaun khatam karega? How will they? And most of them were in plenary portions of demigods. So time up, to abhi inko nikalna hai. So then the Lord, these last pastimes which happen, wherein the Yadu dynasty annihilates themselves by cursing, when they get the curse of the sages. So this is a what do you say? Not a very happy story. Vaishnava Upradh is something very serious, and they did Samba, who was Krishna's son, and these Yadava princes, they they basically broke the barrier, and they broke some rules, they broke some norms, As a result, they offended some senior Vaishnavas, Narad Muni and others. And then they got cursed. And then what happened eventually? Uh, the Lord says, when they quarrel among themselves, influenced by intoxication, with their eyes red like copper because of drinking, then only will they disappear. Otherwise, it will not be possible. On my disappearance, this incident will take place. So that was the point, because these personalities were the most powerful Yadavas. So how to now bring them back? So sometimes the Lord has His ways. Sometimes we hear about senior Vaishnavas also living in ways which are not very palatable. But that's the Lord's way of bringing them back. Some very senior great Vaishnavas getting cancer, or Tamal Krishna Maharaj living in an accident, something like that. Somebody, Bhakti Charu Maharaj living due to COVID. It's like, what is this? Bhakti kar rahe, this is the way they have to live. Then what is the difference between ordinary person and these personalities? But that's the way we see it, is that's the way this material body has to end. Even the Lord's relatives were ended like that. So what to speak of great personalities? In this material world, this body has to end in the same way. Not everybody goes out like Tukaram. Tukaram went in same body to Vaikuntha. That got spiritualized and he left like that. That's one exception. Everybody else, this body has to be finished in some way or the other. So then we don't take it like that. We see that the Yadavas, okay, that's the way the Lord's plan was. They quarreled among themselves, they fought among themselves, and that is what the Lord wanted. It's amazing. Prabhupada writes in the purport, the devotees and associates of the Lord are completely surrendered souls. They are transcendental instruments in the hands of the Lord and can be used in any way the Lord desires. That means they're fighting also Lord wanted. He wanted them to fight. Normally people will ask these questions. What is this? Krishna is talking big things in Gita, and look at how his own family finished off themselves. But he wanted them. The pure devotees also enjoy some pastimes of the Lord because they want to see him happy. Now only when you become a pure devotee, you will understand how Krishna is getting pleasure when you fight amongst each other, if he wants. They are fighting, they are killing each other, and the Lord is happy. Devotees of the Lord never assert independent individuality. On the contrary, they utilize their individuality in pursuit of the desires of the Lord. And this cooperation of the devotees with the Lord makes a perfect scene of the Lord's pastimes. So the devotees also fully cooperate. If Krishna wants it, okay. I saw this very closely. Many senior devotees, they just talk like they talk like whatever, Govind Ichha, whatever the Lord wants. Beyond a point, they leave things. In our passionate mentality, sometimes we want to control the results. We want to always control. We want to steer things in our direction. And even after things are done, we still want to make sure that results flow in our direction. It's like heavy passion we have. So, but I saw that the more senior Vaishnavas are there, their mood is like that. Whatever the Lord wants, they are more satisfied, more happy, and in whatever way, maro bhi rakho bhi jo ichha to hara, whatever way the Lord keeps them. That kind of faith. Lord Krishna, thus thinking to himself, established Maharaj Yudhishthir in the position of supreme control of the world in order to show the ideal administration on the path of piety. The embryo of Puru's descendant, begotten by the great hero Abhimanyu in the womb of Uttara, his wife, was burnt by the weapon of the son of Drona, but later he was again protected by the Lord. Parikshit, his name was Parikshit because he was always doing pariksha, because he saw Krishna in the womb. So then whenever he came out, he was always seeing, is he the same person? Is he the same person? Is he? He was always doing pariksha, therefore his name became Parikshit. Always being Krishna conscious, because he saw Krishna in the womb. He was always Krishna conscious. The Lord was very merciful to Parikshit because he came in the womb to protect him. Our acharyas say that actually, one of the acharyas, he says that Parikshit's womb actually, he was burnt, body was finished. The Lord recreated. Another one says that the Lord, he himself absorbed the Brahmastra that Ashwathama threw at Uttara's womb. Either ways, he protected him fully. So in this way, the Lord protects because he knows he wants Rajarishis like Maharaj Yudhishthir and Dharmatmas like Parikshit to reign over the world. Because what will happen? People will at least move progressively ahead. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, they will move towards. If the demons are in charge, then what happens to the general populace? And there is no need of taking examples of people who are having those kind of qualities in today's day who are world leaders. You know how bad it is. The Supreme Lord induced the son of Dharma to perform 3 horse sacrifices, and Maharaj Yudhishthir, constantly following Krishna, the personality of Godhead, protected and enjoyed the earth, assisted by his younger brothers. So actually, Maharaj Yudhishthir, if you, how many of you have read Mahabharat? Raise your hands, please. Mahabharat, read Mahabharat? Very few. Okay, please do. We have some nice Mahabharat by Krishna Dharma Prabhu. Please read it just for understanding Maharaj Yudhishthir's character. Mahabharat for that. Most people they read Mahabharat and they conclude wrongly. They think Karna is hero. That is 90% people who have no who are not Krishna conscious. Karna is hero for them, and Krishna is greatest politician and diplomat. That is regular for people who go through Mahabharata. But Mahabharata is amazing when it comes to Maharaj Yudhishthir's qualities, administration, justice, dharma. It's amazing for leadership. Ramayana is also amazing, outstanding. Maharaj Lord Ram's character. Personally, I started seeing it from a different light after I came in a leadership position, because then you start seeing how it's a different perspective. Generally, we see dharma from our own angle, wherein we see that what's right and wrong for me. But then when you see take responsibility for other people, then changes, definitions change. But Lord Ram's ideal is really high, really, really high. And then Maharaj Yudhishthir is also there. Yudhishthir is also very exceptional. But Lord Ram is the supreme personality of Godhead. So, your mind can say he's God himself. Kya nahi kar sakte. But Yudhishthir Maharaj, he was very exceptional also. So, Mahabharat for Yudhishthir Maharaj's qualities, very exceptional. Yeah, please read. Simultaneously, the personality of Godhead enjoyed the life in the city of Dwarka, strictly in conformity with the Vedic customs of society. He was situated in detachment and knowledge, as enunciated by the Sankhya system of philosophy. So, Krishna in Dwarka is Dwarkadish. So, Dwarka is there in the spiritual sky. Golok Namni Nija Dhamni Tale Chatasya. After Golok Vrindavan, then there is Saket Dham, that's Ayodhya, is there. Sorry, before that there is Dwarka. Krishna is Dwarkadhish. Golok Vrindavan, Krishna is a cowherd boy, eternal 16-year-old cowherd boy. What does he do? He is just enjoying. He is enjoying different rasas. With Radharani, Madhurya Ras, with Ma Yashoda, Nand Baba in Vatsalya Ras, and then with Sakhya Ras with his friends. So this is going on. Morning to evening, he has a schedule. Krishna has a schedule, and in that schedule, there is hardly any rest time. Night, Ma Yashoda thinks he's gone to sleep, but he goes to have Raslila with the gopis. Morning, before the sun rises, he runs back in his room and gets in his bed. Ma Yashoda comes to wake him up, thinking Krishna is sleeping, whereas he is actually only acting after having spent the entire night with the gopis, with Radharani. That's Krishna's schedule. But in Dwarka, he is Dwarkadish, he is a king, different role. Different role. So there he has so many queens, and there you see this first canto Bhagavatam actually describes about when Krishna enters into Dwarka and how the queens feel about him, and the detailed description is given how the ladies and how everyone reacts to him as Dwarkadish. So that is Krishna's role in Dwarka. It's very exceptional. It's opulence, but it's not the same as Vaikuntha. Dwarka has Vasudev, Devaki, they have all these personalities are present in Dwarka. So he has Vaikuntha is Vaikuntha Nath, he is Vaikuntha Pati, Vaikuntha Murti is the king of Vaikuntha. So that's different. He's Narayan there. But he in Dwarka, this is Krishna only. Vasudev Krishna. It's a different rasa again. That's what we were in this chapter, we are actually reading about that. It's Krishna's pastimes here in Dwarka. So as a king, he's doing so many different things. Narad Muni goes, 10th canto, Narad Muni goes to see Krishna, what he is doing. And he's surprised to see that in each palace, he's doing something different. But they're all according to his Vedic dharma, his duties. For example, in one place, he saw he's playing with his children. Other place, he's meditating. Other palace, he goes, he's performing fire yagya. In another, he's talking with his wife. Another one, he's serving brahmanas. Narad Muni saw all of this. 10th canto, even in the Krishna book, this whole chapter is there when Narad Muni goes to Dwarka. He sees, it's quite amazing. And then Narad Muni also sees Krishna coming out from each of the palace. And all those Krishnas become one and they go into the Sudharma assembly hall. Narad Muni sees this. And he's amazing. He's saying that you don't have to do all this, but you still do. And then he offers his prayers, Narad Muni. So this is how Krishna, he sets an example for everyone. And his example setting is also crucial for us as practicing devotees, because you see it's all within the purview of Vedic Dharma. So he performs his duties, which is what life is more or less about. Doing our duties for Krishna in a nutshell. Yeah. He was there in his transcendental body, the residence of the goddess of fortune, with his usual gentle and sweetly smiling face, his nectarian words, and his flawless character. Krishna always smiling. Krishna's this description is there. He's always smiling, and nectarian words and flawless character. Nectarian words. If you read Krishna's conversations, they are very, very nectarian and very personal. You'll find when he's meeting Sudama after many years, he tells Sudama so many questions he asks him. How are you doing? And you remember our earlier days. Immediately he reminisces back, goes into nostalgia, and remembers his Gurukul days with Sudama Brahmin. Makes him feel very much at ease, makes him feel very much at home, gives him so much opulence also. So in this kind of a mood, his words very sweet. One thing you can learn also, even when Krishna is interacting with his wives, he is not logical. That's a very good quality, because otherwise, how do you manage? So in this way, you see, Krishna has with every person, his conversations are very different, very personal, and very sweet. So this is some aspect, some analysis of character of Krishna, the qualities of the Lord. Also, one thing that you can analyze in the Srimad Bhagavatam in our own study. I mean, because Lord Ram is quite straightforward. He's also is sweet. Lord Ram's also very tolerant. But Lord Krishna's thing is like really, really, what do you say? It's gentle, and it's so appropriate and right that it's very, you can learn a lot of lessons from how Krishna speaks also. The Lord enjoyed his pastimes both in this world and in other worlds, specifically in the association of the Yadu dynasty. At leisure hours offered by night, he enjoyed the friendship of conjugal love with women. The Lord was thus engaged in household life for many years, but at last his detachment from ephemeral sex life was fully manifested. Every living entity is controlled by a supernatural force, and thus his sense enjoyment is also under the control of that supernatural force. No one, therefore, can put his faith in Lord Krishna's transcendental sense activities, but one who has become a devotee of the Lord by rendering devotional service. So, of course, we hear about Krishna and this purifies us, but we can realize him. That's only by the power of devotional service. The more we are engaged, then Krishna reveals. Sevon mukhe jivadu swayam eva spurti. Swayam eva spuratadya. Krishna has to reveal himself. You will see that in your life, all of you have had some. How many of you had some experience wherein you felt, this is Krishna only? How many of you had some experience like that? Actually, all of us have had. If you wouldn't have had, you would not be sitting here. Some experiences all of us have had. This cannot be coincidental. Hai, Bhagwan hai, and he's there, he's watching, he's doing something. But as we go and as we grow in spiritual life, what happens is that the expectation is also very high for Krishna to intervene directly. He generally puts us in association of his devotees who are constantly giving us messages. Constantly they're giving us messages. And that's what we need to train ourselves to hear. What does Krishna want me to do in this situation? What does Krishna want me to do? He's telling, he's already telling. We are so blinded by our false ego that many times बोल देते उसके बाद भी brush it off है. We're like that. So this humility is needed. Humility is needed. And this constant thought process that what I need to do to please him. So then you will see mercy and reciprocation comes from different ways. Once upon a time, great sages were made angry by the sporting activities of the princely descendants of Yadu and Bhoja dynasties, and thus desired by the Lord, the sages cursed them. A few months passed by, then bewildered by Krishna, all the descendants of Vrishni, Bhoja, and Andhaka, who were the incarnations of demigods, went to Prabhas, while those who were eternal devotees of the Lord did not leave but remained in Dwarka. After arriving there, all of them took baths, and with the water of this place of pilgrimage, they offered their respects to their forefathers, demigods, and great sages, and thus satisfied them. They gave cows to the Brahmanas in royal charity. Prabhupada says here in this place that to visit holy places of pilgrimage is another bewilderment of the mind, because devotional service to the Lord at any place is the last word in spiritual perfection. He says that basically in simple language, ज़्यादा उछल कूद मत करो इधर उधर जाने के लिए, just do your service. That's what the Lord says. That's what Prabhupada he translates it. He says pure devotees, they don't say they don't want to go to pilgrimage places. They don't want to leave their service to go to pilgrimage places. So we can understand where we are now. In our case, the going to pilgrimage places, it helps actually in the spiritual cultivation, because we take association of sadhus. But advanced stages, they're so fixed up in devotional life that they don't want to leave that service even for a while, because then they think that if I don't do, then how will I please Krishna? This is my route in which I am pleasing Krishna. If I give that up, then what? So like that. So they become so absorbed and fixed up. So that's how Srila Prabhupada explains. The Brahmanas were not only well-fed cows in charity, but also gold coins, bedding, clothing, animal skin, seeds, blankets, horses, elephants, girls, and sufficient land for maintenance. Thereafter, they offered the Brahmanas highly delicious foodstuffs, first offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and offered their respectful obeisances by touching their heads to the ground. They lived perfectly by protecting the cows and the Brahmanas. You will see, we do our prayer, right? Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha, Jagadhitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. Krishna is the Lord of the Brahmanas. So who are these personalities? Who are the Brahmanas? They are the ones who are 100% dedicated and absorbed in devotional life. In Patan, Patan, Yajan, Yajan, Dan, Pratigraha. They are engaged in teaching, in studying, in performing sacrifices. They are engaged in performing and performing for others also sacrifices. Dan, Pratigraha, they are giving charity and accepting charity. These are the people who are Brahmanas. So because they are fully dedicated to the benefit and upliftment of other people, so therefore in the Bhagavad Gita also and in the Bhagavatam numerous places it is mentioned that the Krishna eats through the mouth of the Brahmanas. Not one, numerous places, numerous. Third canto, again it will come ahead. Even this pastime of Jai Vijay, they get cursed by the four Kumaras. There also Prabhupada mentioned. There also it is mentioned in the verses also. Krishna eats through the mouth of the Brahmanas. So this is Brahmanas are actually the Lord incarnate. So much of emphasis has been put. So who is a Brahmana? Not somebody just who wears a thread or who is born in a Brahmanical family, or somebody who has a surname of Dvivedi, Trivedi, Chaturvedi, Mishra, Upadhyay. They're not. There may be Brahma Bandhus, as Prabhupada mentions. Brahma Bandhu means somebody who's say born in a Brahmin family but may not be performing the karma of a Brahmin. So Srila Prabhupada's movement is actually meant to produce Brahmanas. Brahmanas means that through Shastric understanding, through scriptural knowledge, and by the dint of their own realization, they are able to uplift other people. This is Brahmanas. So that's why we are hearing. We also try to. Shravanam is one. Then there is Mananam, means thinking and contemplation. And third is Nididhyasanam, or practical application. If we don't apply what we are hearing practically, then it remains incomplete. But if we do, then we get realization. By the strength of that realization, one becomes peaceful, one becomes grounded. Truth is like that. The more Satyam Param Dhimahi, Krishna is the absolute truth. The more truth is manifested in our hearts, then you see so much of negativity goes away. We become peaceful. That is self-realization. So that's what we want to find. We want to know the truth, absolute truth. How many of you would like to find out the absolute truth? Yes, very nice. So this is what we want to know, the absolute truth. So absolute truth is Satyam Param. Krishna is the absolute truth. And in our process, spiritual journey, we perform sadhana bhakti, we perform panchang bhakti, we try to please the spiritual master, we try to please the Vaishnavas, and then these core, and then we introspect, we reflect, we write, we pray. When we do these things, then you see that we become strengthened by the dint of our own realization, and then we have substance. And when we have substance, we can change, we can hope to become instruments in the hands of the acharyas and have an impact and influence in the lives of others also. So, like this, before starting a new activity, we should take a sankalpa or resolution. That is Vedic Vidhi. We always take a sankalpa. In any before starting of any anushthan or any program, we take some sankalpa. We are going to do this. So, taking resolutions individually also becomes a very crucial aspect of devotional life, wherein we keep challenging ourselves with that. And then we actually, if we want to fight, instead of discussing about fighting with Pakistan, we should fight with the enemies of our own hearts, our own anarthas, deeply plagued in our system: lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, and envy. This envy is so deep, it makes us so intolerant towards others, makes us so selfish also, self-centered. We have to be warriors. Kshatriya has to be, we have to be Kshatriyas in spirit. And whom do we battle against? We battle against these anarthas within ourselves. For that, we need to figure out. So we need help, external help, and then internally we target. And then you can send your S-500 and send those machines. You can send those to finish off these drones of anarthas which are coming from that side of the border. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Prabhupada ki. Any questions or comments? Nothing on